Imagine you have got a time machine in the basement or the shed, wherever the best place to store a time machine is at your house. Fire it up and let's go back to 1991. Head into the WCW locker room, tell Too Cold Scorpio and PN News to get out of the way, scoop up the blonde haired icon Sting. Surfer Sting was the franchise player of World Championship Wrestling. I've said before he was like Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, and Macho Man rolled into one supreme being. Bring that to today's wrestling world, and who would you have in battle? What dream matches would you want? This episode of Two Views Wrestling, we will look at 5 stars of today we would want to see lock up with the Stinger. Before we get to the list, remember to hit a scorpion death drop on that like button and put a scorpion deathlock on that subscribe button. Let's kick off the list with a monster of a man. Number 5, Bronson Reed. Sting's greatest rival was the monster Big Van Vader. The closest thing we got to that today is Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed is a throwback to the great big men of the past. Vader, Earthquake, and Bam Bam Bigelow all inspired Reed, and he has been killing it lately. Sting worked well against bigger guys. The fans would love watching him fire up against Reed. Sting has overcome some tremendous beatings before, but could he survive when the tsunami hits? I, for one, would be excited for this clash. Our next pick has a family history of fighting Sting. Number 4, Braun Breaker. The Steiner family have been putting on banger matches against Sting for 30 years. Just go back to Super Brawl 1 and see the epic tag match there. I feel like this match would be right up there with that one. Breaker has speed, power, agility, and intensity. He's basically a total package. Shout out to Lex Luger. Sting also has those same abilities, and that would make for an epic clash. I don't know if Breaker or Sting would get their hand raised, but one thing is sure, the winner would have had to use every tool in their arsenal to get that win. The third pick on this list has a legacy of beating legends. Number 3, Randy Orton. Surfer Sting used to wrestle against Barry Windham back in the day. Randy Orton is a much better version of Windham. He's very smooth and everything comes easy to him in the ring. He also has a vicious side. Orton made a name for himself as the Legend Killer. Randy would be looking to take out Sting and add another legendary name to his hit list. This would be a great match and maybe the best Sting ever had in terms of in-ring work. I think their styles complement each other, and Orton could ground Sting and make the Stinger battle back. Sting would have to watch out for that RKO out of nowhere and the punt to the side of the head. And Orton must stay out of the Scorpion Deathlock. They say legends never die, but Randy Orton doesn't subscribe to that philosophy, and this would be an all-time classic. Number 2 on this list is Sting's evil doppelganger. Number 2, Cody Rhodes. There's the Flash, and then there is the evil Reverse Flash. There's Surfer Sting and the American Nightmare. These guys have a lot in common. The bleach blonde flat top, the sparkly ring jackets, the ability to overcome insurmountable odds. The way you can tell them apart is Cody has that douchebag neck tattoo. There is history here as Sting teamed with Dusty Rhodes to battle the Road Warriors before. This would be an intriguing match as both guys are hard to put away. Cody usually has to hit 3 consecutive crossroads to put a normal guy away. With Sting not wanting to let the little stingers down, Cody might have to hit double that. I still don't know if that would be enough. If this match were to take place, it would be the thing to drive Cody into turning heel. I think the only way he could win is by hook or by crook. The final pick wouldn't be coming alone. He has a whole tribe watching his back. Number 1, Roman Reigns. Sting used to scrap with the Four Horsemen all the time. He would have his work cut out for him with the bloodline. The tribal chief went on a run the likes of which we hadn't seen in nearly 40 years, one of the most dominant stars of all time. He defended his title against superstars, legends, Hall of Famers, and Cesaro. Adding Sting to that list would have made for an epic match. Roman has great facial expressions, and seeing his face while Sting was beating his chest and getting fired up would be great. These two match up well as Sting is just as strong as Roman and would have no problem tossing the OTC around the ring. In the end, I think the bloodline would be too much for Sting. We would see Roman and the bloodline standing over a fallen Sting with the ones up.
Looking at your list, I love the Bronson Reed call out. Uh, that's a sick choice. I think Bronson Reed and Sting would work well. You said Roman Reigns. I thought that would be an awesome choice as well. Both to me franchise players, franchise guys. Braun Breaker, I love that matchup for who's the bigger freak. Like, hey, I can go, you can go. Let's figure out who's tougher. Cody, I don't want to see him against because Cody is the ultimate babyface. He shouldn't be wrestling another babyface like that. Shout out to his awesome tattoo. Some names that jumped out to me that I would want is Gunther. I was surprised, you being a huge Gunther fan, that he wasn't on the list.
Yeah.
I think that him and Gunther would slap 5-star match. Two guys that I think people might not comment or think about that I think would be amazing is, to me, they're interchangeable, really, is Austin Theory and Carmelo Hayes. I think both are small enough where they would really sell Sting's strengths. And then Sting is athletic enough where he could go with them and do some flashy spots as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I just really like the idea of Sting going against Theory and Hayes. Either one, whichever one people lean towards more.
I really like the Theory one. The Hayes one would be good, but I think Theory would edge that one out for me. I think that would be really great, like that cocky Austin Theory versus that do-gooder Sting. That'd be incredible. I think Gunther was the first guy to miss my list. Like he'd be number 6. And then unfortunately, like for AEW, I was trying to think of someone. I thought maybe Swerve and maybe John Moxley. That was about all I could come up with AEW.
No Omega?
Oh, yeah. Well, I forgot about it. He's been gone so long. I forgot about Omega.
If I was looking at AEW guys, I honestly was just looking at WWE guys. But Omega is the first one that jumps out. Damn, dude, it really is just Omega.
I think I lean towards WWE because AEW had Sting recently.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's a different version of Sting, but he wrestled a bunch of people there. So it's
we got to
like,
see some stuff with Sting in AEW. MJF's interesting.
Yeah, against Surfer Sting, absolutely.
And then especially if he had Wardlow as his bodyguard still.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's why Roman kind of edged it out. Was I like the when the odds are stacked against Sting. That's kind of like, him fighting off a bunch of guys was always cool. So that's kind of
what I liked about Surfer Sting too is you mentioned an Ultimate Warrior Macho Man Hogan thing, and that's what's awesome about him. Like,
yeah, he was definitely all of those guys rolled into one.
Yeah, I think he slept on in the GOAT talk because of Crow Sting is a little emo and not like Surfer Sting seemed like it had mainstream appeal, where Crow Sting, I think it's capped.
I don't know what that means. I'm 40 years old. I don't know what that means.
I think it's
not cool.
I think as far as you can get with an emo Crow ripoff in wrestling, it like you're capped to success. I think Surfer Sting could have been a John Cena, a Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't mind Surfer Sting with the Crow Sting with the NWO, but it ruined it with the match with Hogan when they finally paid it off. That's a terrible match. So it kind of ruined everything. But to me, I like the in-ring work with wrestling. and Crow Sting doesn't have that. Surfer Sting has those bangers with like Vader and Flair and Rick Rude. So I always lean towards Surfer Sting. Oh, Cactus Jack. So I always lean towards Surfer Sting over Crow Sting.
That dude was like, "Oh, this dude's gonna kick your ass." Like,
It was cooler than the Crow Sting looking back. And yeah, I just always preferred that Sting. And like I said, it's the Hogan Macho Man Ultimate Warrior rolled into one. I mean, like, how can
when
you not beat that?
yeah, when you have three huge names like that and you could do
Yeah.
all three, it's like, yeah,
Yeah, you have the best of all three of them. So it's like,
you're pretty good.
yeah.
All right. So, in the comments, let us know who some guys you would like to see Surfer Sting match up with from today's wrestling.